beachfront restaurant, The Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
Hello. Good evening. Welcome to Cover Star. This is Advanced Dynamics, where it all happened, the scene of the grind. For 4 days in December, this 22 by 30-foot studio turned an idea on paper into real-life reality TV. When these doors were shut behind performers, it was truth time. No audience, no applause. Just the cameras, the crew, and the ones who comment. Our mission is simple. Bridge generations and genres. Jog our collective cultural memory. You're inside Cover Star, where music history meets its next voice. On WESN, the content capital.
WESN.
Good morning and welcome to AM Prime on WESN. I'm Naomi McNish. So this morning we want to make note that January is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. This is a time dedicated to educating, empowering and encouraging women and families to take action against a disease that is one of the most preventable forms of cancer. This morning on AM Prime we're joined by Paige Ribeiro-Agard. She's the director of the Ayana S. Diet Foundation for Cervical Cancer. This is an organization committed to advocacy, education, and support for women across Trinidad and Tobago. The foundation recently hosted its annual Feel the Teal 5K Walk and Run on January 11th, bringing national attention to the fight against cervical cancer and the importance of early detection and prevention. Good morning, Paige, and welcome to AM Prime.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
No problem. Thank you for joining me. Now, for viewers who may be hearing about the foundation for the first time, let's just get into that. Tell us about the Ayana S. Diet Foundation and what inspired the creation of the foundation.
Of course. So the Ayana S. Diet Foundation for Cervical Cancer, short as ASDF, we would have started because of my aunt, Ayana Sasha Diet, who would have died because of cervical cancer in 2018. Now, Ayana was a national beach volleyball player, extremely fit, life of the party. Very last thing for us and for herself we expected was cervical cancer. But one thing that Ayana was very adamant about was sharing her story. And the reason for that is because she knew that sharing her story would have saved other lives. And as such, my family and I decided, you know what, a foundation is probably the best way that we can really get her story out there to spread awareness. Mm-hmm. So hence the creation of ASDF.
Right. Now, why is cervical cancer so important here in Trinidad and Tobago specifically?
So cervical cancer, as you mentioned before, is extremely preventable. But I think one of the alarming things is how prevalent it is in society. So in Trinidad and Tobago, it is actually the second leading cause of cancer-related death among women. What that really means then is when we have women dying of cancer, it's cervical cancer is this most likely the second reason as to why they would have succumbed to the illness. Now, in Trinidad and Tobago, we have such a high rate of cervical cancer, and based on the foundation's work so far, we've realized that there's a huge gap with respect to the education around it and then the preventative methods. So for us at ASTF, we are truly committed to, raising awareness, bringing that education to the public, but even more important than that, to really implement that preventative measures amongst society, which we can obviously delve into. I didn't want to take over the entire floor, but in terms of prevention for cervical cancer, we're speaking about regular screening, the HPV vaccination, and the HPV testing.
Right. Now, we're going to break it down a bit and just go with the basics. What exactly is cervical cancer, and who is most prone to this disease? Or who is most at risk?
No problem. So cervical cancer, as the name says it, it is actually cancer of the cervix. So for us women, it is very specific to us because we alone have a cervix. And I'm saying this because we've had questions in the past where males have asked, if they can be affected by cervical cancer. So I do want to clear that up immediately. Cervical cancer is specific to women. In terms of who is at risk. Now, I would say a couple years ago, we may have had a clear distinction as to who's at risk. However, at least right here in Trinidad and Tobago, we're seeing that cervical cancer has no real disparity. However, we do know the cause. The cause is the human papilloma virus. Now, HPV is a sexually transmitted disease. However, it's one of the most common sexually transmitted diseases. And the reality is, most persons, once you are sexually active in your lifetime, you will contract some form of HPV. Now, HPV has so many different strains. Not all of them are actually what we call high-risk strains. We have low-risk strains and we have high-risk strains. The high-risk strains are the ones that are very specific to cervical cancer and other cancers, but more specific to cervical cancer.
Right.
Hence the vaccination against HPV.
Right. Now, Paige, what are some of the early warning signs that women should look out for or that they should never ignore?
Right. So funny you ask that question because for a lot of women, cervical cancer may start off with very little to no symptoms. So hence the encouragement of getting the pap test so that they can actually screen your cervix, because the reality is these symptoms can look very similar to other types of reproductive abnormalities, because some of these symptoms would be things like heavy bleeding, pain during intercourse, irregular periods, swelling of the legs, so things that are not very distinctive when it comes to cervical cancer. However, those symptoms that I did mention, if you are experiencing those type of things, of course, speaking to a health professional would be my best advice. I am not a health professional, so whilst we're here discussing symptoms, I want to make sure and advocate that I am encouraging you to speak directly to your health professional to make a sound decision as to what to do moving forward.
Right.
These symptoms also does not necessarily mean that you have cervical cancer, but you have some sort of abnormality or something is happening and we need to get it checked out.
Yeah. Now, when we talk about eradicating cervical cancer, what does that realistically look like? Practical terms.
Right. Practical terms. So it's going to take some years. However, this is a global mission, and I do want to highlight the fact that we have countries that are definitely very close to that. Now, there's a set rule right now called the 90-70-90 rule of eradication. So it's dealing with where we have 90% of females being vaccinated by age 15, 70% of women are going to be screened, and 90% of women who are affected with cervical cancer will be treated. Now, once each country more or less conforms to that 90-70-90 rule, that's where we can see some eradication of cervical cancer. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not something that's going to happen overnight, as we can imagine, but it is something that is definitely possible because of the high successful rate of the HPV vaccination, mm-hmm. and more so the years of the success of using the pap test to mm-hmm. detect abnormality. And within recent years, we've had, the discovery of the HPV test, which makes it even more specific for us to detect the type of HPV that you have and if it's possibly, cancer causing, so that we can treat accordingly.
Right. Now, as you mentioned, the importance of getting your pap smear done, there's a stigma and fear around pap smear screenings with most women. Is the foundation, is that part of the advocacy the foundation is working on to break that barrier, to break that stigma attached to pap smears?
Definitely. So of course the education aspect of it is very important, right? Now, a pap smear is a necessity. I think very often society can kind of confuse pain and discomfort, and we use them interchangeably at times. Now, I'm not discrediting that we have, different pain tolerances as human beings across the board. However, pain and discomfort is definitely two separate things. So for us, we try to encourage, or rather let persons understand that it's not necessarily something painful. You may experience discomfort, but definitely not pain per se. Mm-hmm. Now, we go out to the public to give out free pap smears. And the reason we do that is because we've realized that there is a disparity in society where persons are not getting access to the pap smears. Mm-hmm. They financially cannot afford to get the pap smear done privately. And then you have an issue where transportation comes into play. So for us, when we do those mobile units, it's not just about giving out the pap smear, but also education. Because we found that many times, we have the unit set up, we have persons coming to visit. Some of them, they've never heard of a pap smear before. So we now have that introductory conversation where we're able to discuss the reality of a pap smear, the importance of it, and just, ensuring and letting women know that we are your sister's keeper. Like, there's nothing to be scared of. If you need somebody to hold your hand through this process, we definitely will. But we are certainly, committed and adamant about getting regular screening.
Right. Now, how important is early detection of cervical cancer?
Extremely important, because the survival rate is over 90% once we have early detection, and that's really the message that we're trying to drive across. Because cervical cancer is so slow growing, once you have regular screening, you can pick up the abnormalities early, and that's really the important part here. Picking up the abnormalities early ensures that the treatment happens at a rate that is needed so that you can survive. Mm-hmm. However, if the cervical cancer is way beyond, the early stages, that's where things get a little bit more complicated. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying this to say because my aunt, Ayana, would have gone through something very similar with respect to cervical cancer being slow growing. And if regular checks were happening with Ayana, we would have probably picked up the cervical cancer early, and therefore treatment would have happened at a much quicker rate than it did.
Right.
However, that was not the case for Ayana, and unfortunately she would have succumbed to the disease.
Right. Now, let's talk about Feel the Teal, the 5K walk and run that happened on January 11th. What was the goal behind that event? And please share, how was the event on that day?
Wow, so euphoric, to say the least, because Feel the Teal is truly the foundation's baby. And I'm saying baby because we have put a lot of effort into Feel the Teal because it's our main source of raising funds. As you can imagine, as an NGO, we have lots of dreams, but we need to get the money to do as such. So we decided to do Feel the Teal. Now, just to give you some reference, when we first started Feel the Teal, it was just under 100 persons walking around the savannah, very informal, even though it's more friends and family. Ayana recently passed. We're just trying to raise awareness. And here we are in 2026 with just over 1,500 participants. Now, for us, the goal for Feel the Teal is in fact to raise awareness about cervical cancer, for people to literally feel the teal. Because I don't know if a lot of people know, but teal is actually the color for cervical cancer awareness. So for the foundation, it's the one day where we get to bring the community together. They get to do something healthy. Walking and running, we always encourage it. But not just that, you get to come and you get to hear about cervical cancer. You get to hear about the foundation, what we do, why we do it. We have, thankfully, some sponsors that decide to come to give our guests a true experience, because for the foundation, it's not just a 5K for us. It's really giving you guys a full experience, a quote-unquote ASTF experience. We have been known to have a very energetic race village after. This year was nonetheless that being done. We had, third base performing, Freetown performing, a very staple at our 5Ks, Earth and Alves. And, these guys and these persons that support us really help bring across the message that we have, that yes, we can have fun, but we need to take care of our health. We need to make sure that our women in society are doing what they're supposed to do. But this starts at a very young age, which is why we also encourage, the families to come out, so that the kids can also be educated about what they can do to prevent cervical cancer in the future.
Gotcha. Now, what ongoing programs or upcoming programs does the Ayana S. Diet Foundation have for 2026?
So 2026 is going to continue to be a big year for us. We will continue our mobile units amongst the different communities. So please stay tuned to our social media platforms to just figure out where next we would be. This year, I know we are looking to head back to Tobago, which we cannot wait. The love in Tobago is surreal, and we also know our sister island. We get it, we need to support them as well. But you mentioned what's upcoming for us, some exciting news. I'm not sure if it's going to be fully executed this year. However, we are looking to head across to Greendot to have what is known as a pop party. So we typically have pop parties here in Trinidad where we give out free pap smears to women. It's one big health fair type of day. However, we are trying to go up the islands because we are seeing where, again, there is vulnerability and a lack of resources, and it is our responsibility now. ASTF is really truly committed to the eradication of cervical cancer, and if we can help out any island or just anybody, we will. We think right now in Trinidad and Tobago, the corporate world is supporting us, and we do think that they're going to continue to support and hopefully help us expand our reach, because that's really the goal, right? It's a global mission. It's not just specific to Trinidad and Tobago.
Now, how can the public or anybody who's watching and they want to support, how can they best support the foundation, whether that be through volunteering, donations, or partnerships?
So, of course, I want to say the first thing would just be to spread awareness. If you're listening to this right now, please message your sister, your friend, any female in your life, just to make sure that they know that they got their pap smear. That's the first thing. But even more specific, you mentioned donations. As an NGO, it is extremely important for us to receive the monetary donations, because it really helps us be able to do all the activities that we have planned for the year. Which includes, the pap smears, the HPV vaccination drives, visiting the schools, different corporate worlds. And of course, sharing the post on social media. It goes a very long way when we continue to spread the message and just spread the word. We are always open to volunteers, so please message us on social media if you are interested. If you're also interested in donations, we do have our banking information online via the Race Roster platform. And of course, you can reach out to us directly via WhatsApp or a phone call if you want to have a further conversation with us. I can give you that number right now. So that's 725-2733, and that 2733 actually spells ASDF. So if it's easier for you to remember, 725 ASDF.
Nice, 725 ASDS. Thank you very much, Paige. Before we close, I want to ask you just to leave one message that you want every woman in Trinidad and Tobago to remember this month as Cervical Cancer Awareness Month.
Understand. And I don't want this message to be taken the wrong way, but I do want to bring the reality to it. Every 2 minutes, a woman dies of cervical cancer. Globally, we have over 300,000 deaths yearly. Women, I am encouraging you to please screen yourself, encourage your friends to be screened. If you do have young kids, inquire about the HPV vaccination for them. It can save your life and save the lives of the generations to come. This generation is responsible for the eradication of cervical cancer.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Paige, for that, for sharing. And I wish you all the best moving forward for 2026 with the foundation. And again, I just want to reiterate, if you want to reach out to the foundation for any type of support, you can contact them at 725, and that's ASDF 2733. So again, Paige, thank you.
Thank you very much for having me this morning.
It was a pleasure.
Hopefully you all can feel the teal for the rest of January.
Yes. Thank you very much. And I do hope you have a safe day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. You too.
All right. So that was Paige Ribeiro, AGOD. She's the director of the Ionized Diet Foundation. We just always, they were on before, and I think it was last year, January again, for Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, and I think it's very important for us to keep bringing it up and keep having these conversations again and again. So if you are interested in reaching out to them for volunteering for donations, or even just to get more information, they are on social media. You can just search the Ayana S. Diet Foundation on all social media platforms, and again, the number is 725-2733, that's 725 ASDF. All right, so we're going to take a quick break now, and when we come back, we're going to jump straight into some updates for you. Just some short, really quick updates, and then we have Wild Wednesday coming up after that, so stay tuned.
Hello. Welcome to Cover Star. This is Advanced Dynamics, where it all happened, the scene of the grind. For 4 days in December, this 22 by 30-foot studio turned an idea on paper into real-life reality TV. When these doors were shut behind performers, it was truth time. No audience, no applause. Just the cameras, the crew, and the ones who comment. Our mission is simple: bridge generations and genres. Jog our collective cultural memory. You're inside Cover Star, where music history meets its next voice. On WESN, the content capital.
As you come in. Long time I see you, Jill. This station pumping. Ready for children party. Mommy! Jay, you can't go nowhere with these children. And you know you can't depend on Kevin neither Steven to see about them. They're total waste. So I supposed to stay home the whole time? Jada is 12. She could see about them. You just leave Jada to see about Kira and Kayla. I thought it was your mother or your sister. Who? Them always busy. Jada could handle that. She cooking and cleaning a long time. And the next two better know what time it is. It's only me, you know. I will talk to my mother. She just home these days. She will make sure the children okay. Alright. Let me see the moves for later.
Before you ramage, make sure the children okay. Call 996 to report all child abuse now. A message from the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago.
They gave us the music.
I feel like home.
They gave us the memory.
Woman, you could run away too.
They gave us the rhythms of life.
Trinidad and Tobago, join us for a special tribute to our legendary musical icons who have passed on in, gone, but not forgotten.
Including Bunny, Swallow, Singing Francine, Shadow, Arrow, Maestro, Rootsman, Blacks, Sandoli, The Mighty Terror, plus lots more. Their music still lives on in our heart. An unforgettable night as we celebrate their legacy in Gone, but Not Forgotten. Wednesday, February 4th at Napa and Thursday, February 5th at Sapa. Showtime both nights, 6:30 p.m. Your master of ceremonies, Sonny Bling.
Tickets $300 and $250.
Early bird tickets bought by Monday, January 26th cost $50 less.
For more info, call 732-3402. Gone, but not forgotten.
Welcome back to AM Prime this morning. So we're going to jump straight into some updates, and the talk of the town has been Angostura Holdings Limited has officially launched their Angostura Cubata, a ready-to-drink version of the classic rum and Coca-Cola mix that has been a cultural mainstay in Trinidad and Tobago for decades. Now, the original rum and cola combination, often simply called Cubata, is deeply rooted in local culture, referenced in music and celebrations, and now the House of Angostura is adapting it for modern consumers. According to acting CEO Ian Forbes, this new product is more than just a beverage, it's an expression of local heritage. The company believes ready-to-drink alcoholic beverages are among the fastest growing segments globally, driven by convenience, lifestyle trends, and demand from younger adults who want great taste without the need for mixing or bartending. Now, Chairman Gary Hunt highlighted the cultural timing of the launch, especially in light of the recent remake of the classic Rum and Coca-Cola song by Kes Antano for Carnival 2026. He said Cubata is perfectly positioned to appeal to local consumers and aims to expand beyond Trinidad and Tobago into Caribbean markets and possibly further afield. Now, retailers nationwide will soon have full, complete stock of the Angostura Cubata. They've already started putting them on shelves, joining the Angostura's other ready-to-drink products and offering consumers a convenient way to enjoy a quintessentially Trinidadian drink without mixing it yourself. That's the first first thing I found that to be very interesting. A lot of people do enjoy a rum and Coca-Cola drink. So to have this, I personally have not tried it, but I have a few friends that did, and they spoke very highly of it. Coming up next, the 2026 darts season in Trinidad and Tobago has officially launched with the first major national competition of the year, the Trinidad and Tobago Darts Association National Mixed Format Open. This event serves as a curtain raiser for 2026, bringing together dart players in both male and female divisions to compete and set the tone for the year ahead. This is going to be held at the Cosmos Club in Port of Spain. This opening event not only marks the start of competitive play, but also helps build momentum ahead of league fixtures and national championships throughout the season. The mixed format open requires players to showcase versatility across different game styles and formats, making it an exciting spectacle for fans. Now, the association's opening has generated strong engagement with teams and individual players already making headlines for their performance and enthusiasm. Winners from this opener are expected to gain early confidence as the 2026 dart season and dart calendar unfolds. Now, I found that to be interesting because women doing darts, to me, was strange to see because this seems like it would be a man-dominated sport. But I saw there were a lot of women. It was a 50-50 of men and women who entered for the competition. So I think that is really cool. Now, up next, the government has publicly defended a recent increase in road traffic fines, asserting that tougher penalties were necessary to improve public safety and address rampant traffic violations. Under the Finance Bill 2025, Parliament approved amendments to the Motor Vehicles and Road Traffic Act that include significantly higher fines for traffic offences, unlicensed maxi-taxi operations, and other infractions. Finance Minister Devindranath Thakur explained that the move is about modernizing outdated laws and making penalties commensurate with current socioeconomic realities while also reducing road accidents and deaths. The government has emphasized that these changes aren't designed to generate revenue, but rather to send a clear message that road safety is a serious public concern. By updating fines, officials hope to deter unsafe behavior such as reckless driving, improper licensing, and other dangerous practices. While some motorists have expressed frustration by the increase, noting that fines for relatively minor technical violations can be steep, authorities maintain that lawlessness on the road has reached an alarming level, warranting strict enforcement. Next up, Agriculture Minister Ravi Ratharam has outlined ambitious plans to boost Trinidad and Tobago's agricultural sector in 2026, focusing heavily on training, technology, and broader community involvement. Speaking to media following an agriculture training program launch, Mr. Ratharam said his ministry will roll out a comprehensive suite of training initiatives aimed at strengthening skills, modernizing practices, and exploring opportunities for citizens interested in farming and agriculture. These programs will be implemented across all 8 counties, with the expectation that approximately 20,000 participants will benefit from training this year. The goal is to enhance local production, reduce Trinidad and Tobago's food import bill, and build up sectors such as livestock, which remains a key protein source for many households. This policy push aligns with broader government efforts to revitalize agriculture through value-added processing, export growth, and stronger linkages between producers and markets. Recent initiatives include distribution of specialized coconut seedlings and discussions about agro-processing infrastructure, all positioning farming as a growth engine for the economy. Minister Ratharam has reiterated that agriculture will play a central role in strengthening food security, creating rural jobs, and diversifying the national economy in 2026. This story also reminded me that of the Ministry of Trade and Investment they also launched something similar aimed at helping the local market and the exports for Trinidad and Tobago to reduce our import bill for 2026. We've been reaching out to the ministry to try and get an interview to expand on that and just to talk about their campaign Buy Local. I think it's a really, really great initiative. So hopefully we can get that done so that you, the viewers, can learn more about that campaign. Finally, the government has set a concrete deadline for the Water and Sewage Authority to make significant improvements to the country's water distribution system in response to ongoing service challenges affecting communities from Beetham to Cedros, with Central Trinidad among the hardest hit. Minister of Public Utilities Barry Padarath acknowledged that years of neglect under previous administrations left water treatment and distribution infrastructure in a degraded state, contributing to frequent outages and unreliable supply in many areas. To address this, he has given WASA a 6-month deadline to complete critical upgrades, especially at key facilities like the Freeport Water Treatment Plant, which once operational should increase available water for the national grid and help stabilize supply in affected communities. The directive underscores the urgency of restoring reliable services, and the minister has said that capital investments will be able to bring the treatment infrastructure up to standard. This deadline is part of a broader effort to reform public utilities and deliver consistent water services to citizens who have long faced irregular supply. In addition to infrastructure upgrades, authorities continue to look at broader operational reforms within WASA to ensure more efficient service delivery going forward. And that brings us to the end of our quick updates for you this morning. Coming up next, we have Wild Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. We'll be right back.
They gave us the music.
I feel like home.
They gave us the memory.
Woman, you could run away too.
They gave us the rhythms of life.
Trinidad and Tobago. Join us for a special tribute to our legendary musical icons who have passed on, gone, but not forgotten.
Including Bunny, Swallow, Singing Francine, Shadow, Arrow, Maestro, Rootsman, Blacks, Sandoli, The Mighty Terror, plus lots more. Their music still lives on in our heart. An unforgettable night as we celebrate their legacy in Gone, but Not Forgotten. Wednesday, February 4th at Napa and Thursday, February 5th at Sapa. Showtime both nights, 6:30 p.m. Your master of ceremonies, Sonny Bling.
Tickets $300 and $250.
Early bird tickets bought by Monday, January 26th cost $50 less.
For more info, call 732-3402. Gone, but not forgotten.
As you come in. Long time I see you. This station pumping. Ready for children party. Mommy! Jay, you can't go nowhere with these children. And you know you can't depend on Kevin neither Steven to see about them. Yeah, total waste. So I supposed to stay home whole time? Jada is 12. She could see about that. You just leave Jada to see about Kira and Kayla. I thought it was your mother or your sister. Who? Them always busy. Jada could handle that. She cooking and cleaning a long time. And the next two better know what time it is. It's only me, you know. I will talk to my mother. She just home these days. She will make sure the children okay. Alright. Let me see the moves for later.
Before you ramage, make sure the children okay. Call 996 to report all child abuse now. A message from the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago.
In this studio in the POS, Coverstar moved from paper to real-life reality. a conversation between our musical past and the present that collided bang into the future. Cover Star, where music history meets its next voice.
Don't stop.
On WESN, the content capital.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the program this morning. So it is Wild Wednesday. Wild Wednesday, as you guys can already tell. Yes, we had to wait for that that bumper. But as always, we have Mr. Ricardo Mead joining us on the program this morning from the El Socorro Wildlife Center for Observation.
One day we'll get it. We get it very
El Socorro Center for Wildlife Conservation.
Good morning, ladies. Good morning to our friends, followers out there on the WWW. Welcome to Wild Wednesday. Thank you for having me. It's great to be back in the studio with these two lovely ladies and this spectacular little bird here that has so much played a part in our lives that we don't even really realize it. So that's where I come in. It's about reaching and teaching and showing people the connection between us, what we do, our lives, and the animals, and how much the animals have influenced our lives by their behavior, what they eat, what they do. Just, you know, there's an influence, there's a connectivity.
Yep.
And
yes.
We try to deny it, or sometimes we just don't open our eyes, or sometimes we're just ignorant of these connectivities. So it takes a historical perspective. When you start looking at an animal, what's the name? Where did it come from? Who used the name before? And wait, why does that sound familiar to other things that we have done or used? And when you pull it all together, it's like, wow, there is so much synergy, so much connectivity with this strange little bird here, who sadly is injured. So this is a striped cuckoo. Of course, you would know the name cuckoo from the cuckoo's clock. You know, you expect it from the cartoons. 12 o'clock, bing, it comes out, cuckoo, cuckoo. Yep, so that's his family. So there are more than 100 different cuckoos around the world. And here in Trinidad, we have probably about 8 or so. Some loosely in the family, like what they call the male kobo. That's the black bird that they usually in a group. As soon as you start a waka, yeah. They come down, cut grass, they come down, chirr, chirr, and they come down and they start because they're insectivores. So you're cutting with either disturb grasshoppers, cut off the heads of worms and stuff. So they're there, they know the sound of a waka, they know the smell of gas. You know, I feel they know from the night before when your mother tell you, you gotta cut the grass tomorrow, you know? And they say, hey, tomorrow we go and buy. So they appear because it's food. Yeah. So they're very intelligent animals. That's why they develop this relationship with people, where we're doing work, where there's a brush cutter cutting on the highway, you see them following and hopping along. They have a kind of funny hop that they do. So this is a less known one, but cuckoos have very interesting characteristics and behavior. This one was found down Moruga. Somebody was trimming a tree and it fell out of a nest. But the interesting thing is, the nest that it fell out of, he doesn't know what I know. It's not his nest.
Ooh.
The parents do something called brood parasitism. Strange name. They would go and lay their eggs in another bird's nest. Why? So that bird will raise their young.
Oh. Okay, nature. So they are by nature they are born to be orphans?
Well, I guess you can say that. But the parents are, I guess, I don't know, lazy, preoccupied, whatever. They choose for another parent to choose to raise their young.
So I think I understand the connection here now. Was he found in an owl's nest?
Owls? No.
Oh, okay.
Because owls don't have nests.
Oh.
That's something you always remember. Raptors, well, not all raptors, some of them, owls are cavity dwellers. So an owl will nest in a hole in a tree that was probably made by a woodpecker and used by a toucan and a parrot, or even sometimes in your house, a little space in the roof they get in there. Right? So they're cavity dwellers. They will not build a nest. They will literally just lay right there on the surface. This, however, was found probably in a little tanager's nest and so on. And you will see some pictures sometimes when you look on the internet. You see this massive bird in a nest and a tiny little bird struggling to feed it, like a house wren. So this bird gets pretty big compared to a little house wren. And you see it, especially as a juvenile, filling up the whole nest. Sometimes they will even kick out the natural babies of that bird and sit there with their big old self. Mama, feed me. And mama doesn't know that's not her child. As far as she's concerned, she sat on it. She hatched it, and now she's feeding it.
Ah, okay. I've witnessed that. I've seen that before, and I couldn't understand why.
A very common one is the shiny cowbird. That does that a lot. You will see a little brown wren with this big brown bird that usually turns into a black bird. But that is that sort of brood parasitism. It throws out. Sometimes it just lays it there. Sometimes they actually throw out, or the babies throw out the other babies or the other eggs. And like, okay, now I'm here. You're gonna feed me and take care of me.
Like, why do you eat so much food?
Right? And now, the thing is that this bird, the striped cuckoo, this one here has, as it grew, when we got it, it was much smaller, a couple of weeks ago, so it was a nestling. And we were only able to determine so much in terms of the body condition, because they're usually just sitting in the nest. Now that it's growing, we're realizing that he has a problem with the leg. So as it fell from the nest, it probably hurt its leg, and its leg is not functioning the way it should. So now it's reached a point where it should be standing and hopping around. It's not doing that because of this wonky left leg. So we're going to have to figure out how we can fix that. Hopefully, as the bones are young, we can sort of, they're malleable, and we can probably get it to be, or probably even through therapy, get it to start moving it to the point where it can exist in the wild. Because I do not want to keep this bird. Okay, they eat a lot of insects. They will eat me out of house and homes. And we have a lot of insectivores coming in all the time. So if you have one day that's an ambassador that's eating, when it comes time for the new ones to come in to get their rehab, you're going to be stretched for resources. We always stretch for resources, even worms. So I brought some today because I know Jada just loves these worms. She just loves, I'll just put a couple out there on the counter. Jada, so these are the worms.
Can I get the tweezer looking thing?
Okay, so these are feeding forceps, the long ones there. So it gives us a little distance. So this guy just loves this worm. So we pick the worms up. Okay, and hold on there. Let me just grab the worms. Come on, why is it going by you? He's running to the source of his pain. But all right, so we're going to grab the worm. Hey, that's giving me a little challenge here today. And we're going to feed him to get an idea of how we go through the process of feeding. I'm just going to get him lined up properly. This worm is very feisty this morning. Actually, people, it's not a worm. That's the thing. It's not a worm. It is actually the larva. Basically a caterpillar. Come on.
Interesting. I don't know if I can see him eat it.
There we go. Come on. Wolf it down. And there you go. Just almost gone. Come on, you can do it. Oh, you dropped it. Come on. All right, let's try another one. We do have to sadly crush the head of the worm.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't, one, bite back and fight back there we go, we try this one again. There you go. You keep dropping them, why?
The worm just now.
Maybe he's getting bite.
No, I crushed the head. Yeah, I did. Come on. Usually prefers them, I'm going to have to do what Jada is not going to want to see. He's trying. There we go. He's trying at it. What we do a lot of times, we're trying to step up his the size of worms that he eats, but we also try to give them smaller pieces.
Ooh. Interesting.
And this worm is very pugnacious. It's still there trying to run away. But these are some of the challenges we go through in feeding. If it's too early in the morning and they don't want to eat, they're not going to eat. If it's too late and they just, there we go. So we're doing much better that way. All right, there we go. One more time. There we go. Yeah, he prefers his literally his bite-sized pieces. as opposed to the full ones, and we have to keep trying to encourage it to eat larger pieces, larger worms. So this bird, its history with human beings go back many years and has given birth to terms that we use in our vocabulary. And again, there's this guy that I always mention, there's a guy called William, the Bard, Shakespeare. You guys heard of Shakespeare?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. And every time I deal with animals and look for connections, I sometimes discover just how this guy, and I would maintain that Shakespeare could never have been one person.
Yeah.
But like a whole movement of people who wrote in a similar style. You know, it's like if you have a rap movement, when you start mumbling, everybody starts mumbling or whatever it is. So yeah, but they have similar trends. And he used so much from the natural world in his writings, and that went into the language. I'm talking from 1812, 1819, all those times, to now we use those words.
Yeah.
So there's a word now, and there's a word that we use. Well, as we say, we're big people here. The word is cockhold.
Okay.
And Jada laughs. I wonder why. I thought I would have to explain this, but Jada is laughing because she knows exactly what this word is.
Yes.
Okay. Unfortunately. Okay. So the word is used as a genre in pornography. But a cockhold back then, so you wrote a play called, about 1512, Love's Labour's Lost. And it's a comedy, one of his early comedies. And he used the term then. The term was used to refer to an unfaithful woman, an adulterous woman.
Okay.
It has switched around a bit to now meaning more of a man in a situation taking care of someone else's family, sometimes without him really even knowing. So the woman would have been probably adulterous, got impregnated, had a child that he doesn't know is his child. So he's now taking care of that child. In a similar situation with the birds, taking care of the brooding in the nest. So there's a connectivity there. So Shakespeare took it from there, put it in the language, and we use that today. You see that amazing connection?
Not the way it should be used, but...
Right? But yeah, it's used, but it generally means that a situation where a guy is taking care of a child and he usually doesn't know that it's not his.
Right.
You know? So that takes me back to a production I did. I was also a thespian, remember? Thespian, not the L word, okay? Very much into playwriting, acting, producing, and I had written a play based on a song by Lord Melody, Fitzroy Alexander. It's called Shame and Scandal in the Family. So it was a situation where a family in Tobago, based in Tobago, wanted his son to get married, and every time he brought a girl from the village who he thought was a potential suitor, his father would pull him aside and said, "You can't marry this girl because that's your sister." He says, "All right, I understand. You had an outside child." He brings another one. "Can't marry this girl either. That's your sister." Son's frustrated. He brings girl number 3. He says, "You can't marry this girl either. That's also your sister." So his son's like, "What are you, the village ram? You father everybody in the village?" You know, so he broke down. He couldn't take it anymore. So his mother asked him, "What's the matter?" He says, "Well, Dad says I can't marry these girls." He says, "Why?" He says, "Because they're my sister." Mom says, "Look, you love the girl?" He says, "Yes." He said, "Marry her." He said, "Can't do it as my sister." He says, "Look, it's about time. There's a big man for me to tell you. Your father is your father, but your father don't know. Shame and scandal in the family. Woe is me. Shame and scandal in the family." That's one of the most popular songs actually in the world. That was a very popular song. It was written over in about 12 languages and sung over, you know. But that situation, because that situation, it happens anywhere in the world. You think it's Trinidad alone like that? No. Absolutely not. Okay, in Africa, in India, in the Far East, in China, there's always a village ram who would have fathered several children in a situation like that there. Human stories are never really original, eh? It's just different situation. We have different technology now, but this thing is the same. Right? Even our stories are even the animal stories as we're learning now. Yeah. And from 1512, Shakespeare wrote about a situation like that, that is still relevant today in 2025. So our stories are not really going to change. You change the face of the people, you change the color of the people, you change some of the culture of the people. But human nature is human nature, and how we behave and interact with each other, it's never really going to change. Right?
It's interesting to me that the bird doesn't know the egg that it's laying on. They didn't lay it.
No, they're not going to look and identify, okay, this is mine and this is, no. She comes to the nest, the maternal instincts, and this is something that is always commendable in nature. The maternal instincts in some species, not all, some species are designed to like, psh, you're on your own, partner, you know? And then the funny thing is, birds are very maternal and loving and caring and so on. But at a particular point, they would literally kick the babies out of the nest and like fly. You fly or you die.
Do you think that these birds, because based on this story, right, that the father doesn't know that he's not the father, right? And the child didn't know that, or the son didn't know that that his father wasn't his father.
Right.
Right, so that's really scandalous. But is it that these birds are aware that they are not the
offspring?
The offspring of the nest that they're in?
No, the birds do something called imprinting. And what it is, there's like, and they showed this, there's a great movie about a girl that raised some Canadian geese. And they got the eggs for some reason, and they hatch, and they literally imprinted on her. The eyes open, and the first caretaker vision that they got is who they would emulate. So they emulated her. They wanted to go to school with her and sit with her. They did everything the way she did. And then they realized, you know, we can't keep these birds like this. They should fly, they have to migrate and stuff like that there. So they got what they call an ultralight airplane. And she went up in it, and they wanted to follow her. So what did they do? They flew. And then they did the V formation like the geese do when they migrate and they fly and stuff like that there. And they learned to be geese. And this is important because this is what we have to do at the Wildlife Center. I have right now eggs in an incubator. They had to remove the eggs from an area. And instead of letting the animal die, I have them in an incubator. They may or may not hatch. We're trying our very best with them. But if they hatch, the first thing they will see would be us. And of course now they would want to imprint. So we have an owl called Imprint because he was imprinted. And we released him and he came back, he's like, I'm not an owl, I'm a human. I'm not built for this catching rats out there thing. Bring my food on my silver plate. I'll sleep in the bedroom above the bed. That's his life. Okay, so sometimes you can reverse it. It's very difficult, but many times you can't. And even if you reverse some of it, sometimes some things kick in that makes the animal want to be person again, a human again. You know, it's like you can take the pig out the gutter, or you can't take the gutter out the pig. Yeah, so some of our habits just are ingrained, and that's what happens with them. So it's always difficult. So it's going to be quite a transition now, okay, for me to get this bird to go from waiting for me to feed him with a silver forceps and literally stick food on his mouth that he often spits out, to learning to pick it up on his own, wolfing them on his own. But the challenge is going to be that leg there that's just sticking out there. Again, when it was at that tiny stage there, you could not tell what was going on with that leg because he was just supposed to sit. Now he's supposed to stand. You see that leg out there, and it's quite concerned. And it's frustrating him. He's trying to move, and so on. So this bird here has an amazing dance. It's called a striped cuckoo. So guys, you can look it up on YouTube. Striped cuckoo dancing. And what they've done, the dance, they've of course dubbed it over to music. So it's a sort of robotic dance because he has these sort of, the wings have a sort of special short feathers in the front. And what he does like this, he does a sort of robotic dance. So you play the music and he'd be like, double wobble gato, Mr. Roboto, double wobble. You know, guys don't know that song, that was back in the age. But yeah, you know, very robotic, like he's breakdancing and stuff. So they dub it over with different types of music, and you can see that's his natural behavior. And we don't know, the first time, this is the second time we have been a squirrel cuckoo, we didn't know that. We didn't do squirrel cuckoo dance search. But we saw it literally sitting there, and he would stand up and then start doing this. And looking at you and doing the dance, you know, and then we looked it up to see the movement, and when we saw the dance, we were just cracking up, and he was just doing it right through until we released him, and it was just amazing. But my concern again is this leg. We really want this bird out there. You're going to be too expensive to keep and feed, buddy, as an insectivore. You know, if we have to do it, we will find a way. But we really rather him gain some use of that leg and be able to support himself. A limp, a bump, that's not a problem. Animals a lot of times are born with these little deficiencies. They're not always perfect, but he would need the leg to be able to fly. They literally push off with them. So we're going to do our very best to see what we can do.
Because he has very long legs,
yes.
I noticed. His legs are not just his, I don't know what to call it, toes.
Yeah, very long toes are like there
yes.
because of his time spent in trees and so on. So look how long his leg. That's how long he should be standing. Very, very tall, very
Yes.
proud. But this leg here, this leg is this.
So the other leg works?
The other leg works. The other leg works. Yeah, the right leg
They
works
both
well.
look pretty spiny, just like pretty.
Yeah, very slender legs and literally hop in trees and so on. You can imagine we're just literally hopping about in the trees and
Yeah.
stuff like that there with those, you see, and that's little extra short feathers that he helps to do that squirrel dance. So you guys out there, if you don't believe me, just, you know, look up on YouTube, striped cuckoo dance, and you will be amused. There'll be your amusement for the day.
Don't forget that striped cuckoo dance.
On YouTube, yeah, that's why I love YouTube.
Yeah.
You can find anything on YouTube, you know, and sometimes anybody too, and that's can be scary sometimes.
So we have this striped cuckoo with us, but there's also another bird in studio with us that it seems like he or she wants to be heard.
Quite a miserable guys, and that's a juvenile tropical screech owl. I'll reach out and try to get him to come out. You want to come out? Come on out. Come on out. Yeah.
Nope. He's like, nope, I don't want to.
He doesn't know what he wants to do half the time. I didn't bring his perch, so he's like, what am I supposed to stand on? Right? So this is, let me see, get some more. Right. Right? Oh, fuzzy bird, tropical screech owl. So we had a tropical screech owl before, but it was an adult, full adult. This is a sub-adult. So the head doesn't even have proper feathers. What he has in the head is downy feathers. Okay? And of course, his favorite thing, I think he wants to go out here because he knows out here we have who? Who's out here? Who's out here? Who's out here? Who's out here? Out here is the worm. Go ahead. So this is why we don't want to keep a lot of insectivorous animals, because now we're going to have to increase our production to probably a couple million a year to keep up. And every year, our need and use increases tremendously. Come on, what are you backing up for? There you go. Right? So when people say, oh, that is so cute, I want one, I want to mine one, I always say, drink water and mind your own business. Yeah. Let the animals be the animals, because you're not going through this. You're not going to go through this. And this is the nice part.
He has it in his leg like it's
a
cigarette.
He holds it, yeah. This is the nice part. This is simple. A little forceps, you grab some worms. Okay, where are you going to get the worms from? And then the other part of his, this is not a complete part of his diet. This is his snacks. Okay, this is like ice cream. You can't live off of ice cream. No matter how much you love it, you cannot live off of ice cream. You need the other good stuff. So he needs to eat his rats and mice and stuff like that there, which you're going to have to cut up. You know, one lady told me, how am I supposed to feed the rats and mice? I said, well, you have to bite the head off and chew off the legs and chew it up and then put it to his mouth and he will take it from you. She says, you're kidding. I says, no, I'm serious. It will take it from your mouth if you do that. Fortunately, we don't have to do that, but you still have to get all bloody and messy, killing rats and mice. First acquiring rats and mice, killing them, cutting them up, and give it to them. Because owls do not drink water, so they get their fluids from that lovely blood. Very important. So you can't even buy chicken and give it to them and hope that it will be good enough for them. You got to do it right. If you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all. Leave it alone. Amen. Mind your business. Leave this alone. Leave this for the experts. Leave this for the people who will not freak out when a worm goes crawling out of their pajamas when they get in bed at night. It has happened. Yep, you do the night feeding. They get everywhere. Not only do they get everywhere, not only do the worms get everywhere, they eat anything.
A worm crawled out of your pajamas?
Yes. Feeding, it fell onto my clothes and got into the pocket. And at some point in the night, I'm feeling something just moving. And I did that, and nothing. But then after that, it just literally came out and on the bed, and it's like, hey, I like it here. And I was like, no, just grabbed them, took him back outside, and fed it to the owl. See, we have to have a lot of these animals at home because of their feeding schedule.
Yeah.
They have to be fed for 12 hours a day. So from 6 to 6, they have to be fed. Every hour and a half to 2 hours. Sometimes they're not so full, sometimes they're more full. But that means at least 6 times a day, this has to get fed, he has to get fed, the other one has to get fed. Okay? So a lot of times that's why they come with me. Because when I have them and they're on their feeding schedule and I have to get out there to work and do an interview, whatever I have to do, meeting, you know, sometime in the middle of the meeting, I'm like, excuse me, can you excuse me for a short while? So I'll be just like a mother who's breastfeeding and excuse myself to the bathroom, you know, and I complain, you know, they don't have you know, changing stations and baby stations in men's room. Why? Because what we don't take care, we don't take care. No,
indeed, that's a different conversation in
yeah,
itself.
you know, but yeah, so I go to the bathroom or another room, a secluded area, and I rip out the worm. Sometimes if it's a primate, I have the baby bottle, you name it, whatever the food is. Be it chicken, be it rat, be it mice, be it worms, okay, be it the hand-rearing formula. So sometimes you have a little baby bag because the formula has to stay nice and warm. Okay, and you'd pull it out and you'd shake it up and put it into the syringe and feed them. It's a lot going on that we have to do. And 99.999% of people cannot do that. So just leave that for the people who are willing, whose lives are adapted for this sort of situation. Yeah, he's like, okay, where's the next one? Where's the next one? Where's the next one? Where's the next one? What is that about? Oh yeah, what about? You're sticking with that there. Yeah, it's just
I love his eyes. I love his eyes.
Yeah, it's a joy to feed them. When you get them to this stage, after the early stage where you have to chop up the stuff, when they start putting it down whole and easy like that, it's fun now. I mean, although they do still make I will give them the mice whole and they would make a serious bloody mess with it just literally all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's how they eat. And you must understand
I
that.
would love to witness that. I mean, it can, I would imagine it looks like something straight, a scene out of a movie.
Yeah, it's a bloodbath.
Yeah.
A bloodbath when they go. Yes, I know. You must exercise those wings. Here, you want to try this one? Are you going to try it? Yeah, say thank you. Say thank you. Hello? No, you're shy?
I absolutely love how when he's about to eat it, he closes his eyes like he's just savoring every moment.
Are you going to eat a whole one now? We're trying to get you to eat a whole one.
You can do it. Of this worm.
No, he's like, no. And I'm sure that leg is just so uncomfortable for him because he cannot get into the proper feeding position, and that is a bit stressful for him. So we're going to try our very best.
I can't see the break off of his eyes.
Oh, come on. Yep, that's what it is. It's a lot of...
Yeah, y'all are seeing how much work this takes to feed a bird that's not at 100. So as Mr. Mead rightfully said,
spit it out.
Leave them alone. If you see an injured bird, do not take it and try to mother it on your own.
Would you... Yeah. This is the garbage disposal unit. You don't want to eat anything, he will eat. He will not say no at all. Like again, this is ice cream. So it's like, do you say no to ice cream? No, not until your belly ready to bust.
He's finding a way to eat it.
Yeah.
Hello.
So this is just part of our world right here. The cuckoo, from the cuckoo clock, the brood parasitism, the cock cold, all that sort of stuff there, that's all relatable and understandable in today's world, and our stories that we tell and our lives that we live. So with each time and each animal, I'm trying to even present a way that it connects to us. It's not just about them and they're exclusive. No, they're us and part of our lives. Our bats. We have at least 98 species of mosquitoes in Trinidad, at least. That's in one region. But we also have 70 species of bats, of which most of them are insectivores. So there's a balance. Mother Nature, okay, lots of mosquitoes, so we give you lots of bats to sort of balance that out. In the US, only 45 species of bats. The whole of America, you know, and you need to watch a map to see. When you watch a map of America, you really can't see Trinidad. The way they show Trinidad is just so that we can see Trinidad. But in terms of the scale, Trinidad does not show other than just a minuscule dot. There's no form and shape and thing like that there. But they do that so you know, okay, well, that's Trinidad, and that's kind of what it looked like. And such a massive place and so few bats, and such a tiny place and so many bats. But it's there for a reason. And then, of course, in a tropical environment, you need the bats to pollinate. How are you going to get your banana, your balata, your pomerac, your mangoes, your plantain? All these things are very important. So everything, the connectivity, I know it gives me joy with the discovery of each. So part of what I do now, whenever we get an animal or get a chance, and I would just randomly think of an animal, and I try to go back and see where it was in our history. At what point did we become aware of these animals as human beings? When was it so-called discovered? Yeah, and put it in perspective. I'm really interested in one, and one I probably want to bring next week or week after. We have a peregrine falcon. That's the fastest animal in the world. What that animal is able to do is like the Concorde. After that, you have Concorde and you have planes, and the distance between them is tremendous. You know, imagine New York to London in a couple of hours, as opposed to that 6-hour painful, leg cramping, butt numbing flight. You know, red eye, you come out, you're tired, you want a whole day, but you have a meeting the next morning, and you know, so that's what it is. The bird is a revolution. And the Concorde, and many of our fast, are you going back inside? Our fast apparatus, vehicles, they used the animals for inspiration in something called biomimicry. So biologically there are certain features, and humans now in our mechanical engineering mimic that to have a similar effect. So the ultra-fast bullet trains, when they used to pass, they used to there was a sonic boom, there was a lot of noise. And then they discovered that there is a bird that dives and without noise, less turbulence. And the train, they did a simple thing. They curved the nose of the train, just like the beak of the bird, and eliminated that right away. Yeah. Biomimicry. It's just amazing what you can do when you observe. But if we think that we're so special and we're up there, we will make it work. And you wouldn't take the time to watch at an animal. Okay? When you understand our mechanical growth and development or industrialization was literally on the backs of animals. If you understand that, you understand how people do it and how people have done it. And we've got to this point, right? So a unit of power is called a horsepower.
I'm sorry, but he's just doing that dance and I can't. I love it.
Oh.
Quite, and no more food. All right, I'll give you another
I love that we had a very interactive episode of Val Wednesday today, where we got to witness Mr. Mead actually feeding these birds. And I think we can do more of that if possible.
We'll try. Not everybody is suited to one. Come
Once
on
we
air,
can,
and two, to be in a situation where they can be fed. But like I said, this story is just really sad. I should have been reaching and scrambling and grabbing him across the counter. But see, I brought him out and he has not moved.
Yes.
Because he just cannot. And we're going to work on him. We're going to do our very best to see. Sometimes we just have to resplint and put rubber bands on the legs to keep them together. All sorts of things there. He's trying. He wants to fly.
Keep us updated with our cuckoo friend here and his progress. And
he will grow feathers all over that. Oh, sorry. He'll grow feathers all over, like his back?
Shorter feather coverage, and his tail will be much fuller. His tails, see, they're sort of closed in and sort of straight, looks like pins there. That's the feather shaft. So they kind of come out of that and then they just bloom like a flower.
Love
and
that.
Then you'll get that lovely, so those are, they're called pin feathers right now. So you can almost pull it out. It looks like a little pin with just a little shaft in the end, but it will just bloom out. And in another week's time, it'll almost be unrecognizable to the way he is right now. Just really amazing the development that they go through. And here's his sound. Yeah, they haven't much. Everything about this bird is just so amazing.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Mead, for coming on and teaching us about.
Thank you for having me as usual. And you folks out there, thank you for tuning in. Keep tuning in. Send me your questions. Find your hard questions, your difficult questions. Anything with related to, no dogs and cats, please. Wildlife. We have linkages between dogs and cats, but let's keep it focused more to wildlife. And if there's a linkages like we did last time with the possums and so on like that, we will do that. Always a pleasure to come out, to reach, and to teach.
Yes, and always a pleasure to learn. We learn a lot from you every week. So that brings us to the end of our program this morning. We do have a comment from one of you.
The most beautiful people wear their hearts on their sleeves. Good morning, you are all blessed. Keep it up. We're blessed to have you in our hearts and homes. Thanks so much. Our love to you all. Our love right back at you. Thanks so much for your comments and for letting us know how you feel.
And then that's our quote for today. The most beautiful people wear their hearts on their sleeves and their souls in their smiles.
I love that.
And that's what we try to do every day.
Yes.
And we hope you do as well.
As you
WESN.
Hello. Welcome to Cover Star. This is Advanced Dynamics, where it all happened, the scene of the grind. For 4 days in December, this 22 by 30-foot studio turned an idea on paper into real-life reality TV. When these doors were shut behind performers, it was truth time. No audience, no applause. Just the cameras, the crew, and the ones who comment. Our mission is simple. Bridge generations and genres. Jog our collective cultural memory. You're inside Cover Star, where music history meets its next voice. On WESN, the content capital.
They gave us the music.
I feel like home.
They gave us the memory.
Woman, you could run away too.
They gave us the rhythms of life.
Trinidad and Tobago. Join us for a special tribute to our legendary musical icons who have passed on in, gone, but not forgotten.